gear. Ladies, gents and teddy bears, welcome to home of the Red Arrows. That's right, we're at RAF Waddington today, and hopefully we'll get some Red Arrows training session for the 2026 season. And it's been all go and change of scenes and new recruits. I know, how exciting. So 3, 4, well, you could say 4 really, because obviously Red 10 has also had a bit of a change as well. But of course, it goes absolutely without saying, a very, very warm welcome to the new officer commanding the Red Arrows. That's Wing Commander. And of course, we wish her the very best, an experienced tornado pilot. Now, we're going to start the show off with something a little bit different. Good old bezel. There we go. But amazing. So a massive warm welcome to an experienced GR4 pilot and a qualified flying instructor in her career, and carried out multiple exercises. We welcome Wing Commander Sasha Nash. Of course, we will always welcome any new recruits. We've got Flight Lieutenant Matt Brighty, Red 2. We all know about Brighty. Oh yeah. And as well, Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Christopher Dean. And new to the team, in the role that is, not new to the Red Arrows, but new to the role, is Red 10 Supervisor, will be this year Squadron Leader Stuart Roberts. So we're just waiting, hopefully, for the canopies to open on the Red Arrows, and we get all excited to see their training. Again, we don't know what type of training they're going to do, what sequences they're going to practice, but the ultimate goal is, it's not a full display. They'll practice elements of the displays. But as soon as we got canopies open, it's all exciting times. There's our legendary Hawk T1A, which entered service in the early 70s, but for the Red Arrows in 1979. Also got a Beechcraft Shadow R1 just taxiing now for departure. It's all about precision with the Red Arrows and formation flying. It's all by sight and trust and listening. Arrows formed at Little Rissington in 1964 with 7 Folland Nats, led by Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones, who led his team with their yellow Nats that were painted red. And it was in May of 1965. Was the 6th of May, the first sort of display, not a public one, but a display over the crowds. Their first official public display was in France. I think it was 9th of May, 1965. They carried out about 64 displays, or 65 displays that year. I just had a little bit of a read before I came here, just to brush up on some extra information for you, which I will get in just a moment. So yeah, May 1965 at Little Rissington, their first official display for the press, but the first public air display was staged May the 9th, and it wasn't in Britain, it was in France at the French Air Force Base at Clermont-Ferrand, and the first UK air show, so the British public had to wait another week on the 15th of May, and that was at Biggin Hill and their International Airfair Kent. Oh yes, and during that season they flew 65 displays on their first ever season. So not a bad memory there for just quickly having a quick read up. They've actually told you, a bit more about their displays. They've had home, such as after Rissington, Little Rissington, they spent some time at RAF Fairford and eventually Kemble and Scampton. Scampton was a little bit intermittent, but they managed to hold on until it sadly had to close down, and they ended up here, RAF Waddington. And it's been their home since as early as recent as October 2022. But at least we managed to get a couple of content from Scampton. But you always associate the Red Arrows, well I do anyway, with Lincolnshire. But of course, in a way, from their lineage, it's from their lineage. It's actually far from that. It's more like Cotswolds, really. Gloucestershire Cotswold district, isn't it? So you've got Kemble, Fairford, that's in sort of like the Cotswold vicinity, shall we say. So there we go. Anyway, today's Red Arrows are here and we're going to enjoy them. Red 1 is still squadron leader Bondy, John Bond, who puts together and choreographies the display sequences. But on our left is one of the few aircraft that are stationed and operate out of Waddington. They operate the Reaper MQ-9A, the RPAS aircraft, which has now been replaced by the Protector RG Mark 1 MQ-9B. So the Reaper is no longer, it's the Protector. We've also got the Shadow R1, which is on our screens now, and also the RC135W rivet joint. And the only unit to operate this particular aircraft is indeed the Red Arrows, who are the sole operator of the Hawk BAE Systems Hawk T1A. We are in the official Waddington aircraft viewing enclosure, so big shout out to John, Emma and all the staff that help out, Andy, that all help out here to maintain, open and close. It's amazing what they do for us all to enjoy and have an enclosure to view the aircraft safely. And as you can probably tell, a very busy road that's basically trucker heaven. The A15, and although crossing the road is permitted, there are occasions where it's out of bounds. For safety reasons, you'll be ordered to, if you are going to view aircraft, etc., to stay here. Again, because we are in the official aircraft viewing enclosure, this field and field surrounding it is out of bounds. It's not public land, it's private land. Please respect the farmer's land. And also, I know it's not that easy to show you, probably just about. There is a red and white fence. Please do not stand there. You'll be, the authorities will get you to move on, and repeated offenders, well, yeah. I won't go into detail with that. Again, please treat crash gates like any other crash gate. Please do not stand at the crash gates or even park your vehicle blocking anything that's emergency access and signs like that in that detail. Please stay away from it. Let's all just come in here and have fun and enjoy. That's what we're here to do, isn't it? And of course, to manage the safety, you can see those lights there that will flash on departing and arriving aircraft. This is the Beechcraft Shadow R1 of RAF Waddington. See, it's a little bit misty. So hopefully it doesn't affect the red arrows. It is sort of closing in, unfortunately. But hey, we can't control the weather, so hopefully we'll get a sortie from the reds anyway. They may send one out as a singleton to do a weather check. They may even skip the morning sortie, you just don't know. So my name's Nikos, I'm your cameraman, historian and commentator. This is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. Welcome to the show, and welcome to RAF Waddington, home of the ISTAR force and Royal Auxiliary Air Force and Regiment as well, and volunteers. And of course, Royal Air Force Station is made up of many roles. Looks like we've got another Beechcraft Shadow there, Teddy. So welcome to our Friday show, our last of the week. It's been challenging weather-wise, but we've got through it. R1, of course, it's powered by the legendary Pratt & Whitney's PT6, a very, very clever engine. Reverse flow. It's a reverse flow as well. We'll show you all about that and a little bit later on in the show, of course, giving you the demonstrations like I normally do. You'll be amazed to know that those propellers are technically spinning due to the kinetic energy from the combustion flow. It is amazing. One of the characteristics of the PT6 is it almost reminds me of back in the days in my youth, driving my XR3i. Yep, my Ford XR3i Cabriolet with the big bore exhausts. What was it, Mongoose? I think we had on there. And the big bore exhaust is a statement and a signature of the Pratt & Whitney's PT6. You can just about see. You'll see him in just a moment as we get a nice little head-on picture of it. Welcome to the show, ladies, gents and teddy bears. Hope you're all good. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll get some Red Arrows action as soon as this mist clears off. Now, Waddington is very much like RAF Marham in terms of its historical establishment from being a Royal Flying Corps station, which was chosen, like Marham, in its expansion program, a pre-war expansion program that saw the sort of reinstating Waddington to Royal Air Force facilities. Because of course not all Royal Flying Corps stations survived after the First World War. Now, RAF Waddington has a huge connection with Avro, and it's had many firsts here, such as the Avro Manchester with 207 Squadron, operating the kind for the very first time. Also, the Avro Manchester, of course, evolved into the Lancaster, which BT308, while having its prototype of its kind flown, and DG595, the very first official Lancaster, arrived on Christmas Eve of 1941. So that was the first time that the kind was even called the Lancaster, and it arrived here Christmas Eve of 1941. Number 44 Squadron was to operate and become the first squadron to operate the Lancaster, and that was here, number 44, in January of 1942. 97 Squadron, who left Coningsby in 1942, while Coningsby was having its runways upgraded. Also received the Avro Lancaster, so 97 and 44, the first two squadrons to operate the Avro Lancaster. Also the Avro Vulcan was also the first to be operated here, so it has a huge connection with Avro. It's looking a bit grim, but hey, it's nice to be out anyway and get you a show. Just hopefully those canopies open up. But, I can see blue skies giving me hope to my right. So a very good morning to all of you that are tuned in. Jim Bob, Margot, RSVP, Alan Verdon, Davey, Katie Weber, Williams 88, Nigel Hales, Chris Bloxham, Jan Clark, Paul Mayers, Dieter, David Smart, brave Sir Robin as well. How you all doing? Aspen, watching from West Coast, Mark Dudley. Hope we're all good. Mayhem Marshy as well. A massive warm welcome, and just going to wish you all now a very, very good weekend coming up. And of course, welcome to our Friday show. And we find ourselves here at RAF Waddington. And it looks like the mist is actually closing in from my left, so it's not looking brilliant. Hopefully it will clear later. You're right, man. Oh, I'll have it. Oh, yeah, sorry. So you can see the big bore exhaust there. Pratt & Whitney making amazing legends, and it's a reverse flow. So basically the front of the engine is at the back, and what that means is that usually you get the, you know, the suck, squeeze, bang, blow as the air goes through the intakes. You can see the intake there just underneath the nose of the propeller, the cone, but it sucks in that air and takes it all the way to the back and works its way to the front of the aircraft. It's actually quite spectacular. I've just been looking at another remarkable engine as well today, and that was brought to my attention by our very own Aspen, and I could not believe, I don't know if you've ever heard, and probably not one associated with, this is quite if you've ever heard of it, and it's not a company that you might go, oh yeah, they definitely made reconnaissance aircraft, but it was the Republic of all aircraft manufacturers, the Republic prototype, the XF-12 Rainbow, as it was lovingly made, but I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. But these Pratt & Whitney R4360 Wasp major engines, I mean, they were huge, they were 71 litres, but my goodness me, the design to try to make them aerodynamic was out of this world. I've never come across it. The nacelles, the cowlings actually slid and opened up, and so it's pretty much the engine nacelle would actually start to slide back to allow airflow. It was unbelievable. I've never seen, and it's almost like a Cobb, almost like a Cobb style engine is the best way I can probably describe it. But it was indeed fitted to the Boeing 50 and the Boeing C-97, the Convair B-36 boxcar as well, Stratofreighter, the Boeing C-97 Stratofreighter, the Convair B-36 Peacemaker, and a few others, but my goodness me, I've never seen anything like it. And you know how excited I get about engines there now. So, for those that are new to jet engines, I'll just quickly show you how it, just really quickly. So the idea, the intake's at the front, it goes in, the air gets compressed, so that's the suck, and then compression is the squeeze, so it squeezes the air, it goes in the combustion chamber, okay. The spray nozzles mix in the fuel, injects the fuel with the compressed air, so that's squeezed air, and they vary from engine to engine, and then you got the bang, all right, and then you got turbines that power the compressors, okay. But just really quickly, air's going in, it's getting squeezed, mixes with fuel, the bang, and then it blows out, and that's thrust, whether it is propelled or whether it is a jet engine, okay. So you can see the sort of idea here that the movement of air is just going that way, and then you end up with thrust as your result. The PT6, however, is a little bit different. Now, I mentioned reverse flow engine, and this is what we've got here as a Pratt & Whitney's PT6, a reverse flow engine. Now the way I've done this, it's looking at it from a bird's eye view, because there's the two exhausts. So the intakes is out of view, the intake for the air, but the idea is that the air gets sucked in, all right, and it's sucked in through the back, so it's completely back to front. And what happens, the suck and the squeeze bang blow is going this way towards the front of the aircraft, okay. So it is a turboprop engine, and there's no bypass, and the exhaust gases basically make this propeller move. Now have a look at this. You're going to notice this section is not even connected. It's a free flow and reverse flow engine. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to talk to you just really quickly. So we've got the idea that usually the air goes in and works its way, gets compressed, etc. But here is different. The air goes at the back, all right, and it goes in, let's say at 1 bar of pressure, and again it meets the compressor, okay. So depending on the size of the application, because you can get it in 3 or 4 stages of compression, okay, but in the end, the ultimate result, the compression ratio is 10 to 1, 10-1, okay. So it compresses air from 1 bar to 10, and it gets quite hot here. It gets about 300 degrees when it starts to get quite hot into this section, but again, the air's going in through the back and then works its way forward. towards the front of the engine, so or the front of the aircraft, because the front is here actually. All right, so have a listen to this though. So the air's going in and it gets sucked in here through the air inlet, and then it gets compressed just like our jet engine. Then it meets this compressor. It's called a centrifugal compressor, and what it does, it pushes the air 180 degrees either side. Okay, it pushes it this way and that way, and then it works its way into the combustion chamber. You've got about I think there's about 14 spray nozzles or thereabouts, can't remember how many, but again it ignites, boom. Okay, and this mechanism here is a single stage axial flow turbine. Okay, and it's a high pressure compressor turbine, and it's mounted on the same shaft as the compression stages. Okay, so it's completely free from this side. Now once you've got that explosion, that kinetic energy, this free power turbine, which is here, it starts to push that kinetic energy from that explosion or that combustion. It's so powerful, it produces 35,000 RPM, all right, revolutions per minute. That is too fast for a propeller, way too fast. So what they do, they add what's called a two-stage planetary reduction gearbox. Now this gearbox is actually designed to slow the revolutions down to 1700 to 2200 RPM. It is this flow of kinetic energy that actually turns that propeller. And I'll tell you what, the way to demonstrate that is literally by using one of these. There we go. So if I am that kinetic energy, there we go. That's how it spins, just from that kinetic energy. It is amazing. There you go. Who'd have thought using one of these? But that's how it works. Absolutely incredible stuff. Oh, hello. It's a cool shot. doing, ladies, gents, teddy bears. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. So benefits are the fact that it's so fuel efficient while managing to get the... Oh, I forgot to tell you a couple of things actually on that. Let me just bring that back. Let me rewind. It's beneficial because it allows... They're not very big at all, the PT600. Let me just get you a little diagram here. They're not very big. They're quite small in comparison to other engines. So it allows it to be compact, fuel efficient as well. Do you know when you want to find something? Right, it's starting to clear up very slowly. And you'll be surprised how many. It's, I mean, the length is about 62 inch. That's 1.57 meters. That's ridiculously small. Diameter of 19 inches. That's 0.483. It's absolutely ridiculously small, like I said, and you know, it is just incredible. And the reason why, as well, there's another little fact I forgot to tell you. This section spins, I can't remember which way it goes. This section here spins one way, and this section spins the other. Think of counter-rotating propellers. Think of the P-38 Lightning of the United States Army Air Forces. They were counter-rotating, so spinning inwards, both. Whereas the Royal Air Force, and this is one of the reasons why the Royal Air Force version was in the end just cancelled, because they didn't want the counter-rotating. It was pulling to one side. But the point here, though, why it goes one way and the other, the amount of torque. Look at that, 35,000 RPM. Think of like those muscle cars, those awesome American muscle cars. That torque, if you ever wondered, they lift up, don't they, on so much power. Fast and Furious, as they lift up, muscle cars always pull up, don't they? Same thing here. If you had all this spinning one way, your aircraft, even a little Texan, is just going to flip backwards. It's so torquey. So it's done that way to maintain. I mean, it's still torquey. It still has a bit of a kick. But it's compact, it's small, to keep as much fuel efficiency as possible with that as well. And finally, I did manage to get this complete as well. I did promise it for ages, and it was the evolution of the United States Air Force's National Star. I managed to put it all together for you. Even including the Civil Air Patrol, by the way, which even today they still use. You'll see this in their insignia, the Civil Air Patrol. Have a look at it. But this was the very first that I could find. 19th of March 1916, the very first United States Army Air Corps. It was part of the number 1 Aero Squadron that we're using that. It was a simple red star, and that was until February 1917. You'll see them on the Curtiss JN Freeze as well. Okay, so have a look at that. It is amazing. I may have stumbled another one, but I can't verify it. There is, or shall I say there was, I think there could have been a blue circle. I think, I'm not sure, I read somewhere, maybe between February 1917 and May the 17th, maybe between there, because I'm wondering why it jumped to here. All right, so 17th of May, so there's a few months between. They could have had it, but I didn't put it on because I'm not 100% sure. So this introduction. Now wait, you're probably going to think, hang on a minute, these two are the same. Actually, when you look at them closely, they're not, and I'm going to teach you how to distinguish the age of the aircraft. 17th of May 1917 to the 8th of February 1918, they added the blue circle. It was the white star, large meatball, almost sort of, you know, ingested to the inner pentagon. They used, I think they had a name for the flag blue and flag red colours of the old flag colour, old flag blue and old flag red, that kind of thing. But have a look in a moment, I'm going to show you something. And during, especially, you'll see this as well on the Newport 28s. of especially 95th Aero Squadron, which is basically the lineage of the 95th Reconnaissance at Mildenhall, the roundel was introduced. Okay, so it was to avoid confusion with the German cross. And if you remember that in my talks about the First World War, it's literally a battle of noughts and crosses. Okay, think about it. I mean, if you're going to have stuff like that and crosses, you're going to get a little bit confused with stars. So they added the roundel. The first roundel ever in existence was actually the French Air Force at the time, which again, that's where the influence came for the Royal Air Force's roundel. But here we've got the roundel coming in that looks quite traditional today, and it was to avoid confusion, and that was between February 1918 to the 19th of August 1919. Now the difference between these two, a slightly different colour, and the meatball is smaller. It was made into proportion. All right, you'll notice it. Have a look at the meatball smaller. It was made to be 1/3. The ratio was going to be 1/3 of the blue circle. Colours specified were called insignia blue and insignia red. August 19th, 1919 to the 15th of May 1942. Now, between that period, okay, now listen to this. Now, if you remember on my other talks, the Royal Air Force tried to introduce, before they had a roundel, they tried to introduce a flag. Now, this is quite significant because flags are quite hard to see. And of course, America was neutral before the Second World War, okay? Before it started for them in 1939. When they were travelling, to be completely neutral, they had the United States flag to avoid any confusion with being either friend or foe or whatever. So any neutrality on their transport aircraft travelling to Europe would feature that. I put in quickly this Civil Air Patrol, which was on December the 1st, 1941. The propeller was omitted sometimes to avoid confusion with a particular Japanese aircraft. So you may see a blue roundel with just a white triangle. On the 15th of May 1942, just quickly, 26th of February 1941, I found that's where the one roundel on the top left of the wing and the bottom right. So from February 1941, that's where the one roundel was only used, not a twin, to save lives. I know, which I've explained in my, usually on my Lakenheath or Mildenhall shows. 15th of May 1942 to the 28th, 1943, the meatball was removed, okay, probably to do with Japanese aircraft, because what they found was that colours or shapes are a lot more visible than colours. All right, so this is why they omitted colours. They were focusing more on the visibility and the shapes. Now you may see this, and it was influenced by the Royal Air Force. This is called Torch Yellow, and it was all to do with Operation Torch, October 1942 to 43. The thickness did change. It was omitted from the top of the wing, and it was used for the North African theatre of operations with the Allied invasion of the French North Africa. That's when it was only used. So if you ever see the yellow, that's when it was only used. Now, here's where they started to add the bar. The bar was added on the 28th of June 1943 to the 14th, 1943. Bars added visibility. This is the point. The Pacific omitted this, and then they decided to get rid of the red, and 14th of August 43 to the 14th of Jan 1947, the red was removed completely. The United States Navy actually had a lighter bar on the edges here. And then of course, the one that we know today, 14th of January 1947 to present, and it was 9 months before the official US Air Force was founded. Now, check this out, I found something else. I was like, what is this? If you look at the very early F-15s from 1973, they had a compass ghost scheme, and they omitted the blue bar. So you just get a white bar with a red line. Okay, so just imagine that blue bar's gone. There you go, a little fact there for you. But I finally got round to doing it, and I did promise to show you it. Okay, so still no canopies open, unfortunately. So I hope you all enjoyed that. So nothing at the moment, so we're just gonna just keep focused and keep positive on that. I hope you enjoyed the talk there about the roundel evolution and the history. There was a few that I didn't add on there. Now the Red Star, that was the first. The US Navy actually just had a blue anchor. That was from 1916. They also developed on that red roundel that I showed you with they had a red outer circle, then a blue, then the white, bit like a sort of like a reverse Royal Air Force one. The US Navy adapted that by adding almost like an anchor and an eagle above it, but I omitted some of it. There's quite a few. There's even there's the evolution of a few others, but those are literally the main ones. But I thought, for good measure, I will not forget the Civil Air Patrol, who also played a major part. Andu69, Andy, thank you very much. Thank you. How you doing?
Okay.
You alright?
Good view from there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Happy days, I bet he is.
Okay, so got another Beechcraft Shadow. A very good morning to everyone. Thanks for all your wishes. Hope you're all good. Dieter, Dr. Roberts, how you doing? I've got Doctor from Scotland. Davey, Mayhem Marshy, not Captain Weber. Dr. Soda, how you doing? Sally Cullen, Harry Gardner, Dieter, oi to you. Welcome to the show. So, on a usual day, we get about 3. Sometimes, if we're extremely lucky, we may get a 4th sortie from the Red Arrows. But when you get weather like this, they will play by the weather and just wait for a more safer environment. This was pretty much our only option really for today. We could have gone to Coningsby, but we've already done that, and we haven't done a Red Arrows show this year yet, so hopefully we get to see them fly, that is. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. Another PT6 engine. Now you know how it works. It's pretty spectacular, really. There's no traditional tick, tick, tick spark plugs on the starter. It's amazing. I love engines, and again, Aspen, thanks for sending in the engine, the Pratt & Whitney Monster that was on that beautiful Republic XF12. Unbelievable. Like I said, I've never seen a nacelle move just to allow a flow of air, because I was thinking, where are the intakes? It did have on the leading edge some cool, sort of like, almost like intakes to cool the oil. It's unbelievable, really, really cool. It was almost like a very aerodynamic, streamlined, almost, not quite, but almost the same performance as a jet engine in some ways, but 71 litres of pure muscle. And again, it's quite fascinating to sort of get to grips that Republic are not your usual, or weren't your usual, creators of reconnaissance aircraft. But really good video. Thanks for that. I loved it. Really good. Sammy Lou, yeah, it was brilliant. Sammy, thank you. It was amazing, Aspen. Thank you. I do love, you know, your little videos and links that you send me when you send them in. I do get to watch them as well as reading a book. I love a good book. But my life does revolve around just learning about aircraft, whether it's history, splitting it into squadrons, but more, of course, as you know, 99% military. And again, the Hawk T1A, again, that has its amazing history as well as its attributes, which defines it from other Hawks from that time period as well. And of course, the idea of air shows and the Red Arrows history is definitely one to mention on the show, but hopefully we'll get those canopies up. I reckon they'll probably, by the look of it, definitely now, looks like they've skipped the morning display practice. Well, when I say display, it's not like a full display, they'll be putting elements together. But it is starting, but really, really slowly to clear up. $4,000 horsepower plus. Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, you know how it is, different. Okay, here we go. So it's all about the Beechcraft Shadow today. And lorries. Yeah, so not the best, not the best cloud base here today, is it? There we go. That's the way it is. So the Red Arrow's the only unit to use the Hawk T1A, the last surviving, the last squadron were indeed 100 who disbanded in 2022 or 23? 100 squadron. Gosh, 100 squadron at RAF Leeming. We're going to go with 2022. I'm going to check. I know it was March. We played the aggressor role. I'm just going to double check for you. I can't remember if it was 22 or 20. I'm going to go with 2022, I think. Probably my final answer. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go 22. I was right first time. I just thought I'd check. But they, of course, were flying the. Again, they were flying the Hawk T1, but it was different to the Red Arrows' Hawk T1A. In fact, I've also got the Fallen Gnats, which I'll go and get as well. But let's have a little look at our what makes a Red Arrows Hawk different to the Hawk T1 of a regular training, because it is a training aircraft, of course. And the difference is, well, first of all, it is a two-seater trainer, hence the letter T. They did do combat versions as well in a role. They were pretty cool with all that camo, really good with the Aiden cannon, and that's really why they chose the T1A, because it could fit a center Aiden cannon. But before we get to that, it is a two-seater trainer. The instructor sits at the back, and the student pilot, to train the latest and greatest pilots in our Royal Air Force. But like I mentioned, the Aiden 30mm cannon was usually installed here, and that was one of the reasons they chose the T1A, so that they can fit the smoke pod, and it wouldn't be a Red Arrows without a smoke pod. So the smoke itself is dye in here, so there is a dye team, and they'll fill blue dye and red dye and a mixture of diesel here dedicated for the white smoke from the diesel. They'll have that in there. Now there's 3 portholes. This opens up and it's literally filled with pretty much like jerry cans and hose pipes. There's nothing fancy about it. There's nothing sort of technical. It's literally filled up, and the way you fill it is to tap it. A bit like the hollow wall scenario where you're tapping around on a hollow wall. If it's solid, it's full. And it's as simple as that. And something we don't get to see at the back of the aircraft are the actual smoke pipes where it's released here. This efflux engine exhaust area. The hot gases are what, 400 to 600 degrees Celsius. Now you'll see 3 pipes. Now these pipes are not specific to each colour. All 3 will shoot out the same smoke colour. All right, just gives a more plumpier plume of smoke. Now, speaking of which, what happens then, it just evaporates and leaves the coloured smoke at the desire. I think it's said to be about 1 minute of blue, 1 minute of red, and 5 minutes of white smoke, which just literally evaporates, mixing the diesel with the dye. Now, to make, especially on windy days, there are occasions where you need a more sort of thicker plume of smoke, and the way you do that, there's an air brake under here on the Hawk T1A. It opens up, the air brake's actually underneath, and what that does, it creates a vortice, creates turbulence, and makes a thicker plume of smoke. The other modification is actually inside the engine. Now, technically, it is a Rolls-Royce Ardeur 151 engine, producing just over 5,000 pounds of thrust. However, the Red Arrows have actually tuned it to their specifications to make it a lot more responsive, so that it can work with them in close formation, etc. So they've actually tuned that up about 638 miles per hour on a level pass, on level flight. The other additions which I've added myself are these vortices. Now the wings of the Red Arrows Hawk is, well, in fact, the design of the Hawk's wings are quite forgiving when you're a trainer. And when you're training, because it gives you a lot of, you need an aircraft that gives you a lot of lift, especially when you're training. It could do it could do over 40,000 feet as well. It can get to 400 miles per hour in just under two minutes, which is amazing. It can fly low level, 250 miles per hour, or 250 feet at 400 miles per hour, sorry. And the other thing to note is that the vortices that are here, the Toblerones. Can't get my words out today. Maybe I need some tea. These are Toblerones here that I've added on here, and it creates like a buffer. It kind of lets the pilot know that they've reached like the limit. It's almost like a limiter, a buffer, to allow the pilot to know when they've got enough lift, so they don't stall, have a wing stall on the aircraft. Kind of gives them a little bit of a judder. It kind of talks to them. It's amazing. It really is a sensational little aircraft. The Red Arrows used it in 1979, and when the Red Arrows started, they were a 7, and they were so popular that by 1969 they extended to a 9 ship. So they were originally a 7 ship, so that was actually their original formation number. I can hear something. Oh, is that spooling up? Yeah. So it was increased to a 9 in 1968, and I think they flew their first 9 ship in 69. Started up, isn't it? Huh? Flashy. Yeah, I know it got a bit of flashy down there. So yeah, the Royal Air Force aerobatics teams were just coming out from everywhere, from the Black Knights, Blue Diamonds, Red Pelicans, the Black Arrows, and of course the Yellow Jacks, named after the call sign of Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones, with the Yellow Jacks here, the fallen Gnat, which was indeed chosen to become the Royal Air Force's aerobatics team's official aircraft for the aerobatics team. And they said, well, why not, you know, in honour of the Black Arrows and the Red Pelicans, why not call it the Red Arrows? Now, they chose red in the end because we get quite a lot of grey skies in this country, so red was seen as a lot more clearer to see in displays in dull grey weather. So the Red Arrows were, for a few seconds, yellow. And it was swapped to this is the Folland Gnat, another training aircraft legend, very agile aircraft, which was replaced in 1979 with the Hawk T1A. So unfortunately, no canopies open. I mean, there is that risk that we won't get any Red Arrows movement, but we've had aircraft, all sorts, so far. The little, what was it, a Piper? Can't remember what was up. Can't remember what that was. The bezel, GBEZL was the serial. We've had 3 R1 Shadows. It looks like we're going to get something else as well. Okay, so the Shadow's just coming in now. It's always helpful if you haven't got a scanner or anything, just look at those lights. Always good. Hey. Oh no. It's lorry central, it's trucker heaven out here. Has anyone seen the new SpongeBob movie? Because I saw that yesterday. I absolutely loved it. Yes, I do watch SpongeBob. I love it. Yeah, I watched the movie. It was great. I loved it. Gotta love SpongeBob, don't I? Can't believe SpongeBob gets a mention on the Ted Coningsby channel. Yeah, I'll tell you what I love about SpongeBob, I love all the little fish in there, I love all the little characters in the background. They just crack me up. They're just there munching away their burger, and it's hilarious. Right, how we doing, ladies, gents, teddy bears? My name's Nikos, I'm your cameraman, historian and commentator, and we've got ourselves possibly another departure coming up. No reds just yet, unfortunately, but hey, this is what we do, this is what plane spotting is all about, especially in the military world, where we're just hoping for anything. Ginger Bailey, oi oi to you, how you doing? Come on, Reds, come on. Mind you, saying that, it doesn't look great up here, to be honest. But hey, what we got here? 11 o'clock. Let's have a look. I'm just going to check the elusive forecast of the weather radar. Doesn't seem great, actually. So, okay. I don't think it's clearing anytime soon today. But hey, you know what? We've had movement. We've had streams like this before at Marham, where we've had everything but that is officially, or shall I say, anything other than an F-35B. What was it? What did we get? We had like F-15s, F-35As, and other stuff. I think it was on that day. It was quite bizarre in that respect. But hey, it happens, and it allows me to give you more info and history, because I know you love all the history content. You've got the lorry's getting involved there, I love that. Why not? Yeah, man. And it looks like we've got something tasty coming up very shortly. It's on its way, it's taxiing now. Ooh, yeah. Looking forward to seeing this. Listen to that. Powered by 4 F108 CFM 56, the 4 F108s. Oh yes. It's on its way, it's taxiing now, ladies, gents, teddy bears, get ready. You can probably start to hear it. Now the F108s, they're CFM Internationals, producing 22,000 pounds of thrust each. Oh yeah! And it's got 4 of them, with a range of just short of 3,000 nautical miles. Empty weight, basically, oh, this is quite funny. So empty weight on a rivet joint. Now, it's 100,000 pounds heavier than a Typhoon empty. It is 124,000 pound empty. Oh yeah, it's basically an ensuite ISTAR hub of intelligence. Can take 21 to 27 crew, but it's got a crew of 2 that fly, 2 pilots, 2 davs, and 21-27 mission-based crew, intelligence operators, airborne systems engineers, Ravens, electronic warfare officers, depending on which air force you're with, get different nicknames. It's on its way. Here we go. For it to get a little bit away from the buildings there, the hangars. You know how we do things on the show. Oh, get ready. Get ready, Teddy. No. The trick is not to get a lorry in this. Are we going to be allowed not to get a lorry? Oh, it's getting there, getting closer. Come on, a bit more. '51 Squadron, marked by the Goose. Also flown by 54 Squadron as well. So the Goose, chosen for 51 Squadron, it is a play on the word Anson. And you're probably thinking, Anson, Goose, what does that mean? But the Avro Anson was an aircraft that 51 Squadron were flying, and the badge was being designed. Now, it was traditional for Royal Air Force squadrons to have some Latin as a motto, and the Latin for Anson, the Latin for Goose was Answer. So they felt, okay, we can choose a wild fowl. They thought it was appropriate, being a bomber squadron, so they chose the Goose, all because it sounds similar in Latin to Anson. So the Latin for Goose is Answer. So they thought Anson, Answer, let's go with the Goose. Talk to me, Goose. And their squadron code during the Second World War was Mike Hotel, MH. You may also see Lima Kilo, which was possibly their sea flight, which became 578. That is also a possibility. just keep. Oh no, 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 no. No, keep. Gosh. Of all the. Hey, man. Well, there is a rivet joint somewhere in there. It's like finding a rivet joint in a haystack. We might be able to see it better. Goodness me. Can't write this sort of thing. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Oh man. It's the new come on. Go, 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 go. Oh, I got away with that. Thank you. That's the last straw. Oh, I love that. Oh, Perry, no, man. That was parked right in front of it. The hay bale. I got bailed. Yeah, I got it. Thanks, man. Don't forget, you can treat your vehicle to some Ted Coningsby decals. That's one version of it. You can split them up. This is a set that you can put together how you want to. It comes with Ted, a YouTube sticker, and Ted Coningsby single letter graphics. And we've also got a van style, a little bit of the van style is the best way. Check it out, tedconingsby.co.uk. Don't forget, ladies, gents, teddy bears, show your support. Do click that like button, give us a thumbs up as well. It really does help. Do subscribe to your one and only Ted Coningsby channel. We are very close to 122k as well. Onwards and upwards for the channel. So what, this reminds me, with the reds there, this reminds me of Hull Beach, when I got the rivet joint and the reds in formation over Hull Beach. That was cool. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Okay, here we go. Now then, can't see any lorries just yet. There's a car coming, so let's see. I'm not sure if it's for incoming or for this. It must be for incoming, I think. Hear it, but I can't see it. I actually cannot see it, so be my guest. That would have been perfect for this to actually out of sight. That's how bad it is. It sounds like a PT6. That would be the R1 Shadow. That's how bad it is. Goodness me. yeah, check it out. Visit tedconingsby.co.uk. We've got key rings, jumpers, t-shirts, patches, beanie hats, baseball hats, tons of t-shirts, different varieties, variety of patches, stickers. Here we go, come on. I love that sound. Bit of CFM. Right. There's no, come on. Yeah. No lorries as well. Oh yes. Right, I think it's time for a cup of tea. I've got one right here. No canopies yet, unfortunately, but stay with us, stay tuned. I'll tell you what though, it is freezing. Perry, thank you for the info on that. That's really, really cool. Some good info. ZZ664, originally a United States Air Force KC-135R. Very interesting. First delivered to the US on the 6th of November 1964, converted to an RC-135W standard and delivered to the Royal Air Force 12th of November 2013. Thanks for that, man. Right, I am going to get a quick cup of tea. It is absolutely freezing. don't know if the reds will go up in this. It's a bit low.
That's what we were just saying. It's very low, isn't it?
Yeah. But we'll see. Got on the lens. What have we got on the lens? Oh, sorry. The wind's just blown a cover on there. There you go. No, no. Yeah, so later on, I think I'll wait. Good, but all right. Oh no. How we doing, ladies, gents, teddy bears? Hope we're all good. Sorry about that obstruction there. I just put a little cover on it and it started to flap in front of the lens, but nice cup of tea. Nothing at the moment, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any nicer a bit later on. That beautiful sound that you heard, that was about just over 1,400 feet, and you couldn't see it. But at least we've had lots of movement. Actually, we've had quite a few shadow R1s. Can't remember what is that little plane that was that took. Yeah, I remember the reg plate, or the reg plate, not reg plate. You know what I mean? It was G bezel. B-E-Z-L. What was that? A Piper Navajo. There you go. So we've had a Piper Navajo or Navajo. Well, I'll go with Navajo. It sounds a bit more authentic, doesn't it? Yeah, so we've had a Piper. We've had, I don't know what, 3 Shadow R1s depart today, and 1 rivet joint as well. No reds, unfortunately. And at the moment, we're getting a lot of low approaches that we cannot see. That's how low the cloud is at the moment. So it's not looking good. So the plan at the moment, unfortunately, we're gonna see what happens around midday. See what happens around midday, and if it doesn't clear by then, we will have to think about it, because I don't think the reds will go up in this. Well, this has gone down to 875 feet, and we can see it. On. Like it had looked like it for a minute, didn't it? Looked like the power would put back on for a touch and go. Got a few cloud breaks, haven't we? Got a blue sky there, just there. Oh. Got another Shadow R1. Looks like it's on final. Yeah, I think it will clear up late, a bit too late, probably around 2-3 o'clock today at this rate. It's really, really painfully slow process at the moment, but hey, you never know, never say never and all that, but sometimes just being realistic is it's not a bad thing. But there we go. Right, what have we got here? That's giving it some, man. Anyone order any sound? thank you to all of you who have tuned in this week. Managed to get, 3 streams this week. We do try our best to get 5. We've been lucky though with 3, that'll do. We've had a nice RC135 depart, which is always good. Come on, break it through. The sun's just trying to burn things through. Come on. Miles out. Here we go. Isn't it? Definitely. Here we go. Up you go. Touch and go. Beautiful. Has that been modified?
Yeah, they came off in this during the snow came.
Oh.
He must have got underneath.
Really?
And that was down here.
The special Walsall snow.
Yeah. Oh, we had some good snow. But yeah, anyway, I managed to rescue them. They're a little bit further spaced out though. It's a unique.
I've got a bit of protection now.
That's true.
Yeah, you're gonna have to buy a spoiler now. Oh dear.
Fortunately, we did another set. And the third set. So what's spare letters? Give us some spare letters.
This is going
Oh yeah.
around again. So I've got this shouting, going a bit of flexing over there. We don't usually see it over there flexing. I'm just going to wait. So welcome to the Ted Coningsby channel. Thanks for tuning in. Give it a little bit, see how it goes. Ding, ding, ding. Ted's little intro tune there. Ding, ding. How you doing, ladies, gents, teddy bears? And Babs Art, high five. Thank you for gifting a Ted Coningsby membership. Thank you so much. A Guards March to you. Howard Klein, high five. Thanks for joining the Ted Coningsby squadron as well. Thank you so much for that. Guards March to you. Alcove Electronics Workshop, who's a member for 8 months now. Good morning, Nikos and crew. Hope everyone is well. We are, man. Thank you very much. Guards March to you. Donna and the Caker Cat, Guards March, thanks for the super. Russell Moore, 15 months membership, always in the green. Thanks to you, lovely lot. Thank you very much. Guards March to you. Margot, thank you very much for the super sticker. Dawn Mitchell, Guards March, thank you as well for the super chat. A Guards March to you. Clive Bruce celebrating 34 months membership with the channel, who's put it nicely, just put in oi oi, love it. John Parrott, 15 months membership, loving the stream. See you at RIAT if you're there, of course we are. No Teds, have a look at them, they're online. You can have a look at where we're going to be at larger events. Paul Mayers, Guards March, thank you very much for the super sticker as well. A Guards March to you. Dieter, Guards March, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for another great week, TCS. Thank you very much as well. Marnie with 30 months membership, 30 months. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Guards March. SC Media 25, member for 19 months. Jenny B with 21 months membership. Happiest 20 months with the TCS. Send it Reds. Oh, we hope so. And J Philip C 123, high five. Thanks for joining our Posh Officers Club. Do take advantage of all the perks that you get with that. Alan Q with 31 months membership. Susan Bloy with 1 month, celebrating her first month. Woo. Nice one. Sally Cullum with 31 months membership. Ali Leyland with 21 months. Oi oi and good morning everyone. 21 months, here's to many more. Non-league James Boyle with 18 months membership. Can't believe it's been 18 months already, loved it. Ginger Bailey, thanks a lot for the super sticker. Guards March. Gaz Wilkes with 8 months membership. Enjoy this channel so much. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Ted, Nikos, and all the spanners. Guards March. Gary Mathers, part of our fighter squadron with 27 months. Oi oi and good morning, Ted and Nikos and everyone in the TCS. It's a bit cold out here in Scotland, but I'm looking forward to another brilliant stream. Thank you for everything you do, Nikos. Thank you very much. Goodness me, it's absolutely freezing though. Whew. Oh yeah! Ladies, sheds and teddy bears, welcome to the Ted Coningsby channel membership. I'm Nikos, I'm your cameraman and commentator. This is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. Just want to say a massive thank you to all our members. Guns up and oh yeah! Take it away, Ted. Ladies, sheds and teddy bears, we want to say a massive thank you to all of our subscribers for getting us to where we are today. We have gone all over the country, from as far as Lossiemouth to Bryce Norton, and military areas such as air weapons ranges, low flying areas, heritage centres and special flights for TED 2. We cannot do this without your support, and your support will be rewarded. You can now join the Ted Coningsby Squadron and help fund the channel to get us around the country and provide us with the funds for equipment to bring you better content too. We have 3 levels of membership to suit everyone. With your membership, you'll get access to members only videos, photos, posts, unlock special Ted Coningsby YouTube emojis and loyalty badges, as well as being able to access our exclusive members only Discord server. All membership levels reward you with discounts to our online store. Our top level fighter squadron was inspired by many of our fans who supported the channel massively. This is more of a personal experience with me and Ted, giving you exclusive live streams and content from behind the scenes photos, special info and updates, as well as a free Ted Coningsby Fighter Squadron patch for joining. Whichever membership level suits you, we want to say a massive thank you for choosing to join the Ted Coningsby Squadron. Aw yeah.
How are you? Alright, Red Ted, how are you? You okay? Yes. My name's Mad Ted, how are you? And this is Red Ted. Right, Red Ted, it's time to take your results today. We're going to have to do a few tests, aren't you? Yeah, that's right. You see, the idea here is to get some fresh air, you know. Like when you're outside in the fresh air, you can feel so good for yourself, you know. You can feel very nice in the fresh air, and you can be, you know, amongst all the elements, and you can enjoy yourself, do you know what I mean? So I think you should, you know, consider getting out a little bit more. Oh dearie me, where'd he go? Oh dear, I must go and find him.
How we doing, ladies, gents, teddy bears? Hope we're all good and well. Ladies, gents, teddy bears. Goodness me. Still nothing, unfortunately, but hey, that's the way it is currently. But welcome to the show. My name's Nikos. I'm your cameraman, historian and commentator. I'll just move this over here. It is freezing, man. I'll tell you what, these are amazing. These beanie hats, do check them out because they are nice and warm. Trust me, don't just hear it from me. They are really, really good and nice and warm. How are we though? Hope we're all good. Let me just move the camera up a little bit. I think I can get a little bit more on there. There we go. But yeah, unfortunately, no reds at the moment, but hey, what can you do? It's just the way it is. But welcome to the show, and I hope you're all good, ladies, gents, teddy bears. It's an absolute pleasure. And if we don't get to see the red arrows, well, no worries. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's just one of those things, and it's not great out here. It really isn't. And, well, formation flying for the red arrows, it's all about trust. If you've watched the documentary on the Thunderbirds as well, it's relying on just literally you know, spending your whole time just looking at your leader and just relying. If they make a mistake, everything else has that knock-on effect, and domino effect, probably the right way. But formation flying has been around since aviation itself. Now, when I speak of aviation, of course, flight was prior to that. Flight was kites, flight was balloons. The idea of flying gliders was, you know, a couple of hundred years as well before even balloons and the idea of flights. Even in mythology, the idea of flying and creating flight in a form of gliders. We all know about the Icarus, Daedalus. That inspiration to fly has always been an inspiration to mankind itself and human beings. So, you know, but aviation is the actual putting together an engine and a controlled flight by a human being in a form of, well, modern days now they can control it remotely, which is actually spectacular. But when I say aviation itself, it is to put all of the elements together. We all know about 1903, the Wright Flyer, the Wright brothers putting together the very first flight of aviation itself, not in a glider form, because there were others putting in gliders previous to that. So don't always you know, do remember that. So aviation, like I said, is putting the engine, putting the glider together and controlling it by a human being, a manned flight, so to speak. But formation flying, you know, really is evolution itself, and seeing history and seeing the aspects of civilian type to military type, and the idea, like I've always mentioned, about the biplanes. I've showed you the evolution of even roundels and insignias. They play a major part in the thinking of military tactics, and it is. I mean, when the Wright brothers did that flight, they didn't think about markings, they didn't think about the tactics, didn't think about maybe formation flying them together. Maybe they did, but at the end of the day, it's all to do with evolution. They didn't just make a biplane and started to put machine guns on it. It was all to do with the First World War, when the first early forms of biplanes, the role was reconnaissance. And the fact with reconnaissance, those two aircraft would actually pass by each other, friend and foe, and they'd realise that they were actually the enemy, but usually they'd wave at each other, and then they realised, hang on, that's the enemy. So next time they brought a rifle, and I've got a really cool picture of the history of flight. Check that out. It's a book, 1960s, I think, from Ladybird. Really good depiction of that very moment, but it's amazing. And formation flying has been around since aviation itself, when it developed into the battlefield, and, you know, taking off in formation, whether you're a bomber force, you know, protecting each other, keeping in what, you know, in a tight formation of 20 odd bombers, but, you know, even in a fighter formations, the finger four formation, the Vic formation, so on and so on. Various tactics evolved, things worked, things didn't, but you learn from your mistakes and so on. B-17s, the mighty Boeing Fortress. Think how many machine guns that had. Multiply that by the amount, and just imagine that they were water jets, and if you were a 109 trying to attack them, then you might have to worry about not getting wet, because that is in essence what they did. But of course the Luftwaffe came up with another tactic. It's slightly off tangent, but the tactic and the weakness was indeed, in fact, I will show you, I haven't shown you this for a while actually, tactics of defence and attack. How do you attack a B-17? Well, the weakest point of any bomber is the cockpit and the pilot controlling it. If we have a look at this diagram, which I haven't shown you for a while, just to get what I mean. So when the 109, is just as an example, when they met a B-17 for the first time, they were probably mortified by the amount of machine guns this thing had on it, hence the name Fortress. It was a name given by a reporter, and Boeing thought, yeah, that is perfect, we're going to call it that. That is the official story, by the way. So the Germans decided to attack in the weakest point, which is in the cockpit. It only takes 1 or 2 bullets to take out a pilot, and many, probably a couple of hundred, to take down one of these, of course, depending on where you hit it. But there is a problem. Combine the speeds together. If our bomber here was going 180 miles per hour and this was going 270, if you combine that speed at 450 miles per hour, that's 200 meters per second. What does that mean? It means that in 1 mile apart, in 8 seconds they would collide. Those that do new money in kilometers, less than 5 seconds, about 4.95 seconds, they would collide. Problem: the 109's guns was accurate to 200 meters. Well, 200 meters per second, that means they've got 1 second before they collide. So half a second quickly and half a second to do a split S? I don't think so. So they reconfigured the machine guns to be 400 meters accurate, which meant that at 400 meters fire for 1 second, and they got 1 second to perform a split S. I know my diagram has it whizzing off over here, but there are problems. There's debris, explosions and everything. So that's just one element to think about the tactics and evolution of formation and combat. That's just one degree of seeing the evolution of military aviation. It is amazing. It really is to even comprehend that. But all this, you know, from the very first ever air show at Reims. The first air show was in France in 1909 to the RAF's first ever, what they called the RAF pageant, and 32 Squadron, which was held in 1920, were performing there. And the history of formation, flying and air shows is what, now over 116 or so years, 117 years even. And in 1925 the pageant became known as the Royal Air Force's display, the Royal Air Force display, and it was held at RAF Hendon. And the first of them, these displays were staged in 1920, and the last was in 1937. And in the following year of the Munich crisis, the rearmament and the gathering war clouds brought to an end of the annual event. However, feats of aerial skill and the daring do were an integral part of the Hendon displays. Now, that interwar period, it was really, really important that air shows existed. Just think about this for a moment. You've got war looming. Air shows inspired recruitment, which is what they do today. Something is coming in. I'll give you the commentary while I get this, if it is even visible, because I can't even see it. But that played a major part. If they did not do air shows, how would they go, you want to fly, you want to recruit with the Royal Air Force? Because how do you do that? And that's exactly what air shows are all about. That's exactly the flag that is flown, the national interests. I'm not just, you know, singling this out for Britain. All air shows, all display teams play a major part in recruitment, and it was really important to have displays carry on in that interwar period. It played a major part, and also, you know, learning to fly in formation played a major part for experience when it came to recruiting. I'll just get this Shadow R1. So let's have a little look. I'm going to show you a few pictures anyway, actually. Let me just turn this round at the Reds for a moment. So yeah, it was really important that those displays carried on prior to the Second World War, or at least when Britain was officially declaring war and the start of the Second World War for Britain. But you know, all that feat of engineering and aerial skill that were done at the Hendon displays, and during 1920 we had 5 Sopwith Snipes fighters from the Central Flying School. They looped in a roll. There was 9 Siskin fighters in 1926 from 41 Squadron performing aerobatic changes. It is absolutely amazing, and they did those to music. So if you thought music was quite a modern thing with displays, no, it was, as far as I could find, 1926, 9 Siskin fighters of 41 Squadron. Absolutely incredible. And you know, formation displays became common through the range of maneuvers, and they, you know, people were getting more daring. Pilots were becoming more daring, and during 1936 they started to perform displays with Gloucester Gauntlet biplanes and Gloucester Gladiators, and the Gloucester Gauntlets were actually flying with close formation with rope tied together to a breakable cord, of course. In 1938, been known briefly as the Empire Air Day, biplanes again carried on performing that tradition to music. So the Hendon displays were a major part, and they helped generate a pool of air enthusiasts and volunteers. And let's face it, how impressive is that if you've got a wife or a girlfriend or want to impress a woman, you get in a plane and go, yes darling, that's my husband up there. I mean, how impressive is it? I mean, to go, yeah, my husband is a pilot. I'm genderifying it because of course it was only restricted to well, I say that as in the Air Force. Flying itself wasn't restricted. There was even I don't know if you've heard of the Royal Aero Club, but 2 women won trophies, but for the Air Force as such. But let's not forget the women that delivered aircraft as well, by the way, just throwing that in for you as well. And not only that, air shows display morale. You know, how many times do I see comments go, yeah man, that's our Royal Air Force, you know, when the Typhoon display, you know, I see funny comments, I see it, I'm like, yeah, you know, I see that sort of pride, and it is, and it did the same thing. It did the same thing. And when you see an F-22, you know, you get a national bit of pride when you see the Thunderbirds, when you see the Blue Angel, when you see the Red Arrows, when you see a Typhoon display, when you see an F-18. Any country, if you're in your own country and you watch your fighters doing displays and carrying out all these things, the Falcons, even the Falcons doing the parachute, you get that pride, you really do. And these displays really boost morale when it was crucial. So it really played a major part. Now, in 1947, of course, during the war, displays, air shows finished. But after the war, in 1947, de Havilland Vampires took off to the sky to make it the first jet aircraft to be used in a fast jet team. Now, these started, which I believe the tradition, why, with the exception of the Red Arrows, why display teams wear black once they get their PDA, that's the Public Display Authorization, because the Black Knights flying the de Havilland Vampires, they wore black flying suits. Now, these came from RAF Odium, and various teams flew the Vampire. 72 Squadron flew in a team of 7. 54 Squadron started to start using smoke trails, so that's where that came in. And finally, the Gloucester Meteor took off and replaced the Vampire for displays. And in the 50s, it was time for the Hawker Hunter. And in 1956, saw the Treble One Squadron take to the skies. And many more Aerobatics teams started to form. Now, this is the thing, I've been reading a few more books, and it could be the fact that all these display teams were popping up. Is this taking away from what they're supposed to do? Well, it's only going to be a matter of time when that probably played a part, but many more RAF Aerobatics teams started to form, and in 1958 the Black Arrows performed a loop and a barrel roll of 22 Hunters, a world record for the greatest number of aircraft looped in formation. The Black Arrows were the premier team until 1961. Then the Blue Diamonds of 92 Squadron continued their role, flying 16 Blue Hunters. There is in not far from here, Newark Air Museum. Check out a Blue Diamond marked up livery Hawker Hunter of 92 Squadron. Check it out. Yellow Jacks were forming from Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones's call sign. The legendary Red Pelicans with their Provost. Now moving on to the more powerful Mark IV. And then, of course, something extraordinary happened. The English Electric Lightning information. I mean, can you absolutely imagine that? Now, I've got a few pictures to show you. Some of you may get a little bit nostalgic, and hang on a minute, and I've got the a little bit there now. Here we go. Look at this 74 Squadron. So in the 60s, the Tigers of 74 Squadron were re-equipped with this legendary aircraft. With the unique vertically aligned. I mean, you don't get many of that. I don't know many that do that anymore. The vertically aligned engines of the English Electric Lightning, and wowed the crowds with 9 Lightnings in tight formation, and the break was spectacular. I've seen a video of that. 56 Squadron, the Firebirds, were using 9 red and silver Lightnings, and I'll show you a little picture of that if you want to. Thanks, Davey. Let me have a look at here now. Let's have a little look. I've got yeah, here we go. Look at this. Obviously, credit due to Simon W. Attic for the Firebirds picture. This is not my work, but look at that, beautiful. If you want to purchase any of these from, there's a Facebook, Simon Attic. There you go. If you want to or simonatic.com. There you go. Look at that. 9 in formation. I mean, look at this. Yeah. Isn't that just delightful? But you've got to remember, I mean, for those that know how it all works, even display teams, how much they work. I mean, think about it. You've got to think about how much and how expensive it is to run 9 English Electric Lightnings, or you know, the problem was it was obvious that it was going to happen. It was so obvious because you're taking away, you know, frontline pilots, especially in the 60s with the Cold War. You need a good 150 crew on the ground crew to service the aircraft, and then you're taking away the frontline jets itself, and then, you know, it was a matter of time, and of course the decision was made to abolish that. It didn't last long, of course, but for those that got to see that, amazing. And the other thing as well, with all these display teams as well, obviously the MOD were thinking about that time as say, look, there's, you know, are we taking away the whole point of training to go frontline, or are we concentrating more on formation flying, etc., for display? So they amalgamated everything. The answer was Little Rissington, and of course taking RAF Alley, the Yellow Jacks, the call sign. They amalgamated it. They used the Follen net, so they were using this little display team, the Yellow Jacks, led by Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones, and they took 7 of these and painted them red. The Follen net became red, and they chose red because, well, look at the sky, it's a little bit grey, and red looks a lot better and probably safer. In fact, yellow was used. The reason why they had so much yellow, I don't know if you've seen like the Tutor, lots of Chipmunks, the Harvard T6, all yellow. It was leftover paint. I think they had loads of it because they used yellow for prototypes since the Second World War, and there is a yellow Mosquito. So they amalgamated all the names, and they said, why not give the Black Arrows a bit of credit in our name, use the red, the colour paint to represent the Red Pelicans, and call ourselves the Red Arrows. So it was a bit of both. So they had 7 at the time at Little Rissington. It was May the 6th that 7 did a what's the word I'm looking for? It was their first sort of open display for the press, shall we say. But their first major display was in France on the 9th of May. But in Britain, we had to wait a week on the 15th of May to see the Reds for the first time actually perform a full-on display. And that was the Biggin Hill in Kent. So amazing, absolutely brilliant legacy. Now, I said 7. They didn't become a 9 till mid-1968. And then they changed aircraft in 79. So they became a 9 in mid-1968. And in 1979, they changed to the BAE Hawk T1A. And the Red Arrows Hawk, you know, it's a cute little aircraft, dual controlled, 40,000 feet of service ceiling, reached 400 miles per hour from brakes release in 2 minutes, and it makes it, you know, completely different. And like I said, we need air shows. Air shows, I mean, just like I mentioned about World War II, we need air shows, man. Come on. You know, how do you recruit? And air shows, not only about the air, the ground, all those stalls, the regiment, the cookery classes, the catering, electrical, the engineers, armourers, the regiment. There's so many roles in the Royal Air Force, and of course we've got the cadets there as well, to, you know, inspire the future generation, teaching them the basics, and loads of other stuff. There's companies, Leonardo, BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce. There's the Tempest project, the concept that has been built. You know, there's so many things, and air shows bring that, and it's so important to keep that. And, you know, with the inspiration of the new officer commanding the Red Arrows as well, Wing Commander Sasha Nash, it opens an array of careers with the Royal Air Force. We must keep that pride going. For me, it's a big thing, and history as well lives hand in hand. This is a Victoria Cross station. Must keep these air shows going. It is really extremely sad on that, because it forms a beautiful way of recruiting. When you know, think of recruitment, you just, when you think of recruitment, you think of a shop, you know, a little building, you go in, open the door, and you sit there, pieces of paper. Why do it like that when you've got an air show, man? Come on. Keep them going, you know. And please don't fry me for this. Please do not fry me. I'm just being honest here. I never really do this, right? Like, just bear with me. But you know Bournemouth. I know it's extremely sad. Man, save the money on that fireworks and put it towards the air show. It's just my thinking. Fireworks are beautiful and that. They're expensive, but put it on the air show, man. But anyway, that is just my 6p on that, and that'll do. I hope I won't get fried for that, but hey, that's just my opinion. Anyway. It's just my honest opinion on that. It's nothing, controversial. It's just, it's just the way. I hope those birds are not actually... And this station has so much history as well to go with it. But yeah. I'm alright. Yeah, I'm all good. Colin, how you doing, man? Alright? Are you all good? Are you gonna get one? Are you getting one? Yeah. Oh, okay, I'll join you. Oh, God. Oh, goodness. How you doing, man? Alright? Good. Yeah, very well. Cold, but all good. Happy New Year, man. Well, you're gonna freeze your hand. Like, no, it's not bad. I've got my hand warm, so it's fine. Just go.
Yeah, I thought it was right up a bit.
I did as well. That's why I thought I'll come here. It's a bit of a shame, but oh well. It's trying, but it's been doing that all morning. So I really can see anything now. Hello, you alright? Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to keep warm anyway. So low, it's unbelievable. We've had a few low approaches from the shadow, you couldn't see it. It was 1,400 feet, but you couldn't see it. Hello, you alright? Yes, yeah, we're good. I know you do. I know. But, oh well, just have to hope. I mean, the canopies are not open, it's gone to 12 o'clock, so I'm not sure. Yeah, unfortunately. Looking good, is it? Still nothing, unfortunately. But hey, that's the way it is. That's the nature of military aviation. But thanks to all of you who have tuned in. We'll keep going. I'll tell you what, 1 o'clock, is that fair enough? 1 o'clock, we'll keep our fingers and paws crossed for 1 o'clock. If not, we'll wrap it up. It's been a good week, it's been good fun, and we'll go from there, ladies, gents, teddy bears. But thanks all of you who have tuned in. I'll give you a little bit of I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little bit of Waddington history. I'll just have something to eat. I'll give you a bit of Waddington history before we finish up, and then maybe that might inspire some aircraft to, even if it's just one sortie, that would be good. But the cloud is just sort of hugging the low ground. While we're here, again, a big shout out to all crew at RAF Waddington, all roles as well on the RAF Police Regiment, to all units that operate there, those in the guard room, oi oi as well. How are we all doing? It's got a nice mix of units here at Waddington. It's Lincolnshire's and one of the RAF's busiest stations. That's the hub of UK intelligence, target acquisition and reconnaissance, abbreviated as ISTAR. And their motto is for faith and freedom. The units are number 13 Squadron, 14 Squadron, 31 Squadron, 51, 54 Squadrons, and 56 Test and Evaluation Squadron, 92 Squadron. We've also got Royal Auxiliary Air Force Squadrons, number 616, 7006, 7010, 7630. Also got 2503 Squadron Royal Auxiliary Air Force Regiment, number 5 RAF Police and Security Squadron ISTAR, number 2 ISR Squadron, number 3 ISR Squadron. We've also got the ISR Support Squadron, along with 71 Inspection and Repair Squadron. Units here, the Air Battle Space Training Centre, the RAF Waddington Voluntary Band, 54 Signals Unit, the Defence Warning and Reporting Flight, the Mobile Meteorological Unit, mouthful there for me, Joint Electronic Warfare Operational Support Centre. Of course, it's home to the Royal Air Force Aerobatics team, the Red Arrows, the RAF Waddington Digital Support Flight, Air and Space Warfare Centre. Don't forget, it's the HQ 441 Squadron, Intelligence Reserve Wing, 1 ISR wing, number 2 Police and Security Wing, and the HQ and the wing here, the Display Air Wing. And Display Air Wing established in 2023, and it's part of the Combat Air Force under number 1 group. And the mission is to generate and command the control of RAF display assets that fall under number 1 group, so not all the display teams. The display teams are as follows: the Red Arrows, the BBMF, the RAF Typhoon display team, and the Falcons, the Chinook and the Tutor. They are under different groups. They form under different groups, by the way. So the wing comprises the headquarters continuing airworthiness management organisations, the CAMO, and that's for the Hawk T1, and BBMF, and the Red Arrows and BBMF is commanded by the Commander Display Air Wing. There we go. And some camo elements, of course, are based at RAF Coningsby, BBMF, and the Typhoon display team. Cool, that was a mouthful. So who's looking forward to the air shows this year? Where are you going? Which one are you attending? And which one are you thinking about or planning to go to? Let us know in the comments. I'm hoping to do as many as I can. And of course our usual annual trips to Lossiemouth and the Lake District. And unfortunately, well, I did do RAF Valley last year, but not live. I was actually there inside the station as a guest, and that was a lovely moment for me. Really good to experience that, and just to put the camera down. Did I? Sort of. I did put the camera down a little bit. Oh, thank you. Huge delivery. Thank you. Oh my god. It's a beast. It's that's all in there. Oh my god. Thanks, man. Thank you. The Gucci burger.
I'm not driving.
How is it? It's not good, is it? Oh dear. Obviously you knew the answer before me. This isn't... Oh dearie me. But there we go. What can you do? It's military aviation. We did get to see, you know, we did get to see movement today, just not of the Reds, unfortunately. We'll wait till 1300 as promised. So another 20 minutes. Alex Blackcat, Alan Q, Denzel Hughes, Johnny B, David Robinson, Williams 88, Davey, Callum, Margot, Gary, how you doing, man? Good, thanks for your messages. Look forward to the parcel. Dieter, how you doing? Paul Mayers, hope we're all good and well. Thanks for the info there, Perry. That was interesting. So for those that caught the rivet joint today, the Royal Air Force's serial numbers are sort of linked with the Nimrod R1. So for example, XW664 is now Zulu Zulu 664. XW665 is now Zulu Zulu 665, and so on. So it's quite interesting to see that. But unfortunately one of them was written off in its replacement, XV249, but it can be found at the museum at Midlands, the Royal Air Force's museum at Midlands, Cosford. Thanks a lot, Perez, Mattman Bush, for that. Oh yeah, love it. Hovering around clouds to sort of not lift in, but there's patches of blue skies, but it really does show you the break of clouds and how low they are, unfortunately. So, RAF Waddington, as I mentioned quite briefly not too long ago, started life as a Royal Flying Corps station, a Royal Flying Corps training aerodrome in 1916. So this was before the creation of the Royal Air Force. The Royal Flying Corps established 13th of April 1912 until the establishment of the Royal Air Force on the 1st of April 1918. This is to do with merging the flying component of the Royal Navy, the Fleet Air Arm, into, or the Naval Air Squadrons, into the flying element of the Royal Flying Corps together to make them the Royal Air Force. And here in 1916, when the aerodrome was built, it was training student pilots, including members of the US Army Air Corps, that were taught to fly a variety of aircraft, and the station became under the control of the Royal Air Force when it was created in 1918. So we would have had various aircraft, such as various forms of Sopwith. So we would have had, I haven't opened it yet, but we would have had various biplanes, such as this one here, if you can see that. It's like a Sopwith Camel by the look of it. And so we would have had, might have to open it one day, but it's quite, it's almost, it's a bit too nice to open it maybe. But I got that from an antique shop. Oh, lights are flashy. Other aircraft such as the Armstrong Whitworth FK8 as well. Various squadrons of the Royal Flying Corps and Royal Air Force as well. 97, 105, 82, 117, 123, 23, 203 and 204 squadrons all stationed here. Here comes a Shadow R1. Based on the King Air. after the First World War, Waddington closed. But luckily it was selected. After it closed in 1920, went into care and maintenance, but a few years later it reopened as a bomber station, and on the 12th of March 1937, with number 50 squadron arriving with Hawker Hinds, another aircraft that I'll have to invest in, and the Handley Page Hamdens, which is synonymous for here because of the skies of Lincolnshire, dominated more by the Hamden than the Wellington bomber. To the skies, the Hamden at RAF Scampton, and that was with 49 Squadron. And number 110 Squadron arrived 15 days later, and they were operating the Bristol Blenheim. And then eventually, on the 7th of June 1937, 88 Squadron reformed here at RAF Waddington behind, before moving to Oscombe Down in Wiltshire. Also had the famous 44 Squadron. They moved in from RAF Andover, flying the Blenheim before switching over to the wonderful Avro Anson, and then the Hamden as well. So a lot of squadrons here in Lincolnshire, and don't forget the amount of military establishments, facilities in Lincolnshire. You were never more than around 7 miles. Just to give you an idea of Lincolnshire's stations, there is an error on here. I will need to address that. Aren't you? 1 second. Lincolnshire being England's second largest county, there is an error on here. I think it's Morby, it's on here twice I think, but just to give you an idea of Royal Flying Corps stations in Lincolnshire, some of them like Digby, which was Scotwick, Cranwell, Scampton, which was Brattleby, Spittlegate, Harlaxton, and Goxill, and of course where are we, Waddington. So I'll have to reprint this. It's had a bit of a battering. The reasons why they got almost like a roundel is because they were expanded into the Second World War. So they were once World War I stations. So that's the state of affairs for how many. So in the blue are our World War II stations, and those that look like a roundel carried on from the First World War into the Second. Comes another Beechcraft Shadow. Oh no, it's not. It's the Piper, the Navajo. Wow, it's got something interesting at the bottom of that. At the front. Oh, I wonder if this is like a training aircraft. There is an OCU here, it's 54 Squadron for the ISTAR force, so I'm wondering if that's got something to do with it. Cool. That was the Piper Navajo. Yeah, so you're never more than 7 miles away from an airfield during the Second World War. There was around 47 Royal Air Force stations in Lincolnshire alone. So, Hamdens, and of course the Avro Manchester was here as well. But before we get to that, the station, RAF Waddington, began the Second World War with Hamdens, just like Coningsby of 44 and number 50 Squadron. Both squadrons were in action on the very same day of Britain's declaration of war, 3rd of September 1939, and their targets were naval targets in Kiel They were also involved in some of the most critical stages of the late summer and early autumn of 1940, attacking various targets, barges, a lot of naval targets, channel ports. They were all focused on there. And in November 1940, 207 Squadron, who are the operational conversion unit at Marham, they were here. 207 Echo Mike was their markings. They were the first to operate the, well, we spoke about it quite a lot at RAF Coningsby, the ill-fated, only 206 made, grounded more than half a dozen times, the Avro Manchester. And the Avro Manchester B1313/36. Why did they submit that after? Well, the specification, if you're familiar with Air Ministry specifications, it needed a particular bomb load of at least 8,000. It had to have a range between 2,000, 3,000 miles, that kind of thing. And it was really to replace the Hampden and the aging Blenheims and the very well respected Vickers Wellington bomber. They needed something powerful, and unfortunately the Avro Manchester was costing a lot more lives due to the engine than it did on combat. But luckily this developed into the Avro Lancaster. I'm going to show you the Manchester for those that don't know. So it had to have the facility to carry torpedoes and all this kind of stuff and this and that, but let me show you the Avro Manchester. Same specification that was given out to the Handley Page Halifax and the Lancaster. In fact, if you want to put it into perspective, the Handley Page Halifax, as we know it, as a 4-engine, and the Avro Lancaster, they were not twin engine, and that was one of the specifications, the letter B indicating a medium bomber. But hey, guess what? This had something special. Well, they thought it was. Have a look at this. This is basically a Rolls-Royce Peregrine engine stuck together. Two of them put together, and what Rolls-Royce called it was the Rolls-Royce Vulture engine. Now on paper it looked like it would produce 1,760 horsepower. Sounds good. So if you have a look at it, have a look at that. Does that remind you of a particular famous bomber? You wouldn't be wrong in saying looks a bit like a Lancaster. Well, you're not going to be wrong, because this is where the Lancaster was developed, which is why the Lancaster hasn't actually got its own specific Air Ministry specification, because it evolved from here. So technically, and I mean technically, you could say the first Lancaster's flight was really when this flew, but it depends how you want to look at it. But this had a few problems. It was indeed the engine that would cause a lot of issues. It had the bomb load. It looked right, but didn't fly right thanks to the engines. The engines would overheat, the rods and pistons would overheat, the ball bearings sometimes would cause the piston rods to shoot out. If that wasn't bad enough, if you were fortunate enough not to have engine trouble at night, the engine were prone to sparking. They actually couldn't fix that. When one of the engines would go down, you can feather the engine to fly back with one, but it had trouble feathering. It was grounded so many times that a lot of squadrons that converted to this went back to their original aircraft, which was the Hampden. So the very first Mark I, as you can see, had a triple fin alignment, a central tail along with the H, but they found another problem. It was vibrating too much between, I don't know, maybe the H was causing a few issues with it, so they got rid of it. They made a Mark 1A and actually got rid of it. And the problem here, as we can see, there's another one there. This is a real cool card, isn't it? So they were grounded so many times, and they were just fed up with it, and it wasn't good enough. And we were in combat, but luckily Handley Page did a twin engine version prototype, but that just wasn't working either. But that also had problems. But in that same year, we had the Sterling come out in July of 1940, Then we had, in November, we had the Handley Page Halifax. And finally, before giving up on this, Roy Chadwick and his crew ended up ditching the engines and actually extended the wingspan from 90 to 102 feet, so 6 feet either side, and used a brand new engine times 4. And this is BT308, and it did have a central fin as well. It had three tails on it, or 3 fins on the tail, and the prototype flew on the 9th of January 1941, Boscombe Down, and then they got rid of the centre fin, and DG595 was the second prototype. Now, this is the thing where I think, well, was it really the Lancaster's first flight? Because, I'll tell you why, should it be on DG595? Because it was actually called the Avro Manchester Mark III. They didn't even give it a name yet, but they already had a name in mind, which is probably why it's fair to say it was the first flight. But on Christmas Eve 1941, here at RAF Waddington, the Lancaster officially arrived, and that's Christmas Eve. And then in 1942, in January 44, were officially operating it. Not long after, 97 Squadron received the Lancaster at RAF Woodhall Spa. And then, of course, the famous Aurgsburg raid. I mean, Air Marshal Harris was well happy with the Lancaster. He was like, yes, we can do away with the Hambdens now. We can do away with the Manchester altogether. In fact, the remaining 200, or I don't know how many Manchester survived out of the 206, I think it was. They were used for training, and they were operating at Coningsby as well, the Manchester. But that's gone now. So, and again, let's face it, Handley Page had a lot of teething issues on the Halifax. It was a good bomber, nice 4-engine bomber, but all the, you know, if you were to name a famous bomber of World War II, RAF or United States, you're going to say the B-17 or possibly a B-24, or even again the Avro Lancaster. But no one ever thinks of the others. They did a lot of hard work. The Sterling got a bit of a bad reputation, but still pushed its way through. You know, there was a lot of bombers, and you know, I'm not being funny, but the Vickers Wellington didn't really have a bad reputation. I don't really know. I mean, it was the RAF's most produced bomber with 11,460 odd, which was quite spectacular. But there we go. And you know, there's one more story here. I'm going to keep the story brief. How we're doing? I'm going to keep the story brief because there was so many what's the word, there was a lot of prospect, there was a lot of buzz for the Lancaster, and Air Marshal Harris loved it, and you know, and Winston Churchill loved it as well, the Lancaster. And it's it is a special aircraft, not to take it away from the others that did the hard work as well, and all the crew that went with it as well, but the Lancaster really gave a lot of hope, because Britain was struggling with starvation, because Hitler had threatened that if you remember the stories at school when you got a moat and Bailey and the castle on the top, and you know the castle's under siege and you starve it, that was what's going to happen. Britain was naturally defended, it was an island, but the problem is when you're an island you could treat it like a castle and just wait for it to starve, and that's what was happening. And the Battle of Atlantic was born in that respect. All our supplies, our merchant ships were getting destroyed. Wolf packs, that they were called, of U-boats, and the U-boats were the problem. The Royal Navy wanted to take care of that and made sure that merchant ships were escorted for protection. So the Marshal Harris and Winston Churchill were like, we need to do something, we need to stop the production of U-boats, because Hitler's Operation Sea Lion was probably going to happen. And so the idea was why don't we bomb the U-boat factories? Why don't we stop the production of them? So that was a job for the Bomber Command. Although the Royal Navy said, we can take care of the U-boats, you're not going to stop the production. So the idea was to bomb the production. And that was the Man Factory in Augsburg, a kind of like an artistic sort of capital of arts and music, and I know Mozart was born in Salzburg, but I think he was lived in Augsburg. But anyway, and this mission, you couldn't do it with the Hamden. You certainly couldn't do it with the Stirling, the low ceiling. It wasn't really capable, but the Lancaster gave hope. And don't forget, the RAF was switching now and again from nighttime bombing to daylight to nighttime, where some of the raids were just, forget it, we're going to switch to night. But this was a daylight raid, the Augsburg raid, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So there was a few, and it was the first ever raid, bombing raid deep into Germany as well, and the Royal Air Force had never gone that far by night, yet alone going in there by day. Or you know, it's one of those things where it was a daring mission, and it would use 6 of 44 Squadron Lancasters from here, led by Squadron Leader John Nettleton. Remember the name, this is a Victoria Cross station. And then not too far away from here, Woodhall Spa's 97 Squadron, led by Squadron Leader John Sherwood with 97. So Oscar Foxtrot markings, Kilo Mike here for the Lancasters, 6 and 6, split into 2 formations of Vic formations. That's 3, so 6, 3 and 3. Now, they were practicing, but not told. It was under absolute secrecy, this mission. The crew did not know what they were training for. They were going low level. And they were practicing low level around the area, around the vicinity, and they had to hold radio silence. And there was an incident that happened here that nearly crashed into radio masts here, and they had to break the signal. This is in March at the moment. They were training with the Lancasters. So on the very day, 17th of April, in that morning, and it was at Woodhall Spa in the briefing room, and it was all silent. None of the crew knew what they were going to do. When we've all seen the movies, that massive map and the curtain's been unveiled. It unveiled a map of their target, and there was a real incredible laughter. You know when you laugh and you think, oh, this is real. They did not expect, like, deep into Germany, daylight as well. They did not expect that to do it. They were briefed, they knew it was for real, and they were ready to go. And a lot of the crew here, one of the stories that I've read, a lot of the crew from both 97 and 44, some of the crew were carrying these metal plates, and they weren't really too worried because it was going to be a low-level mission. Thanks, Davey. They were going to go on a low-level mission, and they weren't too worried about the 88 flaks. They were more worried about, like, you know, rifle shots from below could hurt the backside. So they carried metal plates, and one of the pilots, I forgot his name, I watched a video, and he said, there's like, why am I the last to think of this? If you ever wondered what the yellow circle is inside the Lancaster, inside it, that's where there's armoured plating to protect the back, but there wasn't anything to protect your other parts. And so some of the crew were putting metal sheets underneath, but one of the pilots forgot and said that, why am I the last to think of this beautiful idea? So all he did was grab his those helmets that they wore in World War I and II. He got a cushion, he put that under the cushion and rocked his way on this mission. Anyway, now the Royal Air Force came up with a diversionary plan as well, and it would use 100 Spitfires and the Douglas Boston, and they did a diversion raid, a real raid, but just to send the attacking fighters from France to go and take care of them. 100 Spitfires and bombers. The Luftwaffe must have thought, well, this is quite serious, and they made sure it was done either side so that the Lancasters would come through. Now 44 led the way. 97 were about 10 minutes or so behind. But the thing is, I think the 100 Spitfires would have done better to actually protect the Lancasters, because it was a Richthofen crackpot squadron, the Jagerschwader, and by the time they were done, they would reach their 1001st aerial victory. It was the first time they seen Lancasters, and 6 from 44 tried to get away, and 4 were shot down. Only Garwell and Nettleton's Lancasters managed to pull through. Now, the orders were, if the formation were getting destroyed to abort, but he didn't. He carried on. It's that Royal Air Force press on theory. You've all read these stories, you've all seen movies, but reading real stories, you kind of get an idea that these men, once they saw that line drawn, once they saw that target, there was no coming back. It was like, I'm going for it. And you know, it was unbelievable. And I'm going to show you a picture in just a moment of this particular raid over France. And look at this. This is the nice picture again by Simon Attack. Look at that. That's KM, and it should be B Baker. That's squadron leader Nettleton's famous Lancaster. Now he managed to get through. There were two of them that got through, and also managed to get his 100th aerial victory as well. It was the first time they seen the Lancasters, the Luftwaffe. It was the first time. Anyway, they were looking for the lake. They got through. But oh yeah, by the way, Sherwood's 6. They didn't see them. They were fine. They were carrying on. So the Germans obviously knew that Lancaster were about to bomb somewhere, and they were heading for Munich. They were like, Munich's the target, so they called up to get ready. But they were looking for the river to turn, and they turned northwest, heading for Augsburg. Now it was the last day of some sort of like carnival and a special art event that was going on, so there was lots of cheer, lots of happy times, but the target was a factory, a U-boat man factory, and Garwell sadly was shot down. Nettleton managed to get through. Anyway, while that went, so there was only one Lancaster of 44 Squadron that managed to get through. It was unbelievable. Only one of 44 Squadron managed to get through. So the anti-aircraft, actually they were part of the Hitler Youth, because they'd never seen, in fact, you got to remember how deep that was into Germany. They'd never seen the war. They'd never seen anything. They weren't even expecting it. But sadly, if you were young and male, you were in the Hitler Youth, and they were the ones carrying on the attacks for the anti-aircraft arm. They probably couldn't believe it. You know, people having a good time, hearing the sirens, thinking, "There's no way British aircraft are going to come here," and they actually couldn't believe it. I was watching a video, and they said they just couldn't believe it. They'd never seen it. Sherwood came in, and he was shot down, of number 97 Squadron, and as it went down, one of the Lancasters that did get through saw it crash into a ball, and the description was like a chrysanthemum, and they obviously contacted the next of kin, and Mrs. Sherwood was contacted, and they told her that your husband has sadly been killed in action. She said nah. She didn't believe it, and she was right. I don't know how it happened, but the impact and the explosion actually catapulted him out of the cockpit. He had broken legs, but he survived, and he actually miraculously survived. So she was right. So sadly, one more Lancaster was shot down as well from that as well. So 37 men were lost, and 12 became prisoner of war. 49 never returned, and sadly 37 had their bones buried in foreign land and never came back. And there was around about 12 civilians that sadly passed away as well. But you know, each loss is a mother's heartache, and it's very sad. And although it was, if you put it into ratio of 12 Lancasters, only 5 coming back, the thing is, it did give hope. It did give positivity. It's like, we can do it. The British can get through, and that was the message to Germany, is that we can get through. We'll do a better job next time, but we can get through. But it was a clear message, though, that even the Lancaster couldn't quite get there. But lesson learned, right? But we cannot forget. Damage to the factory, about 3%. It didn't really cause that bottleneck effect that they had hoped for. But that's sadly what happened, and they awarded Nettleton. In fact, he didn't even land here. His compass and navigational systems were completely obliterated. I think he landed in an airport in Blackpool. So very sad, but lest we forget. They did try to give I think it was Marshal Harris, Air Marshal Harris was trying to get Squadron Leader Sherwood Victoria Cross, but I think it was just given a distinguished service order instead, as he was found alive. But lest we forget, ladies and teddy bears, lest we forget. So there was a number of Lancaster squadrons here, and of course, as we go into the Cold War, the Vulcan number 83 was the first to be here, and Waddington was the first to receive the Avro Vulcan bomber. That was with number 83, and the legendary Vulcan bomber, the Defender. This is the Defender of Britain, man, during the Cold War. Look at this, another masterpiece by Avro. Absolutely beautiful. I could use more colourful words, but you know how it is. You know, it's such a. I love aircraft like that. I mean, look at the legendary aircraft like the Vulcan, the SR-71. You know, and so on. So many legendary aircraft that have been made. It's just unreal. We love it, don't we? So the Vulcan here, it did take part operationally in 1982, the Falklands War as well. Took part in that. 44 Squadron, 50 Squadron, and 101 went over with their powerful Rolls-Royce Olympus engines in their Vulcans, supported by Marham's Victors for the refuelling and the Black Buck legendary raids. So as we move on, in July 91, 8 Squadron moved to Waddington with the E3 Sentries, another iconic aircraft, which has now been replaced in the Royal Air Force by the E7 Wedgetail. In 1998, 26 Squadron RAF Regiment moved to Waddington here from RAF Larbrück from Germany as well, so we've had regiments. Also got the Raytheon Sentinel R1 that was here with number 5 Squadron, for those that remember it. 216 reformed here as well on the 1st of April 2020. Oi, oi. So number 5, sadly, they disbanded from the Sentinel, withdrawn from service. The E3, of course, as I started the channel, also started to retire. Managed to catch one, I think of all places, Bryce Norton, a genuine RAF one. And then in August 2022, number 39 Squadron disbanded with the MQ-9A Reaper that was here, and it returned to Creech Air Base in Nevada for use by number 13 Squadron, which continued to operate the Reaper from here. So also got the Red Arrows in 2022. 31 Squadron also reformed at Waddington to fly the latest and greatest General Atomics MQ-9B, the RPAS system, remotely piloted air system. And number 31, they operate in their little sheds. I don't know what they officially call them. So it's got, I mean, we can talk about history here for a very, very long time. So what I'll do, we'll see this one off. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the reds today, and the clouds are getting lower and lower. Actually, there's another set of clouds. It's just not happening here today. Cloud's not going, is it? I'll see this one off, and that's it. That's a shame. But if you don't go, you won't know. Absolutely. Man, these are nice and warm, man. I'm well happy with these. These are good, isn't Oh, what's this thing? Is that another shadow? Sadly, and they're just real cloud over there. It's just not budging. Really low clouds, unfortunately. up a bit better, clouds. Probably would have disappeared by now. And there it goes. So not the best. Got a bit of blue sky just in there. But that's about it, unfortunately. So looking good. Not even any ground crew coming out. Unfortunately, normally if they're not going, they normally take them away, but unfortunately the car park may close before their sort of late afternoon sortie. That's the only problem. Oh well, never mind, we gave it a go. Right, let's have a look at where we go. Alan Q, thanks a lot. Guards March, he's put what a great stream on the super chat. Guards March to you. RSVP, thanks for your 25 months membership. Oh, very nice, thank you very much. EP65 at Guards March. Teddy right there, mate. Thanks a lot for gifting a Ted Coningsby membership as well. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot to Gary Mathers, a high five. Thanks a lot, man. Guards March, who's put oi oi and good morning Ted, Nicholson, everyone on TCS. It's a bit cold here in Scotland, but I'm looking forward to another brilliant stream. Thank you for everything you do, Nicholson. Thank you as well. Right, I think that's us done, Teddy. One more look at the Reds. Let's have a look. One more look. I don't think it's happening, is it? I think it's time. Well, we gave it a shot. Well, I'll tell you what, we got movement anyway. We did get to see the rivet join, which is always nice. So that leads on to, I mean, it's nice over there, isn't it? Well, there we go, Lady Shen's teddy bears. Can't win them all, eh? Can't win them all, and that's the way it is. Lady Shen's teddy bears, it's been a really, really good week. I know we only got to get 3 streams in this week, but we did our best, and that's what it's all about. You can only do your best, and anything that's out of your control, you shouldn't worry about it. Lady Shen's teddy bears, hope you've enjoyed it. RAF Waddington, thank you very much for today. It's been great, really, if you think about it, the amount of movement we got. But I know we were here to see the Reds, but if they can't fly in that, it looks really bad, to be honest. It's not that great. There's a few blue skies sort of, you know, trying to tease us, but hey, that's the way it is. So, Lady Shen's teddy bears, wishing you all happy health and happiness over the weekend. So have a great weekend and enjoy yourselves. Well, it's been a pleasure. My name's Nikos, been your cameraman, historian and commentator. This is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. You've been watching the Ted Coningsby channel live here at RAF Waddington. So for the last time for the week, it is see you soon, wish you well, see ya. Oh yeah, Lady Sheds and Teddy Bears, welcome to the Ted Coningsby channel membership. I'm Nikos, I'm your cameraman and commentator. This is our squadron leader, Ted Coningsby. Just want to say a massive thank you to all our members. Guns up. and yeah. Take it away, Ted.
Ladies, gents and teddy bears, we want to say a massive thank you to all of our subscribers for getting us to where we are today. We have gone all over the country, from as far as Lossiemouth to Bryce Norton, and military areas such as air weapons ranges, low flying areas, heritage centres and special flights for TED 2. We cannot do this without your support, and your support will be rewarded. You can now join the Ted Coningsby Squadron and help fund the channel to get us around the country and provide us with the funds for equipment to bring you better content too. We have 3 levels of membership to suit everyone. With your membership, you'll get access to members only videos, photos, posts, unlock special Ted Coningsby YouTube emojis and loyalty badges, as well as being able to access our exclusive members only Discord server. All membership levels reward you with discounts to our online store. Our top level fighter squadron was inspired by many of our fans who supported the channel massively. This is more of a personal experience with me and Ted, giving you exclusive live streams and content from behind the scenes photos, special info and updates, as well as a free Ted Coningsby Fighter Squadron patch for joining. Whichever membership level suits you, we want to say a massive thank you for choosing to join the Ted Coningsby Squadron. Yeah.